Welcome, church. My name is Andrew Madrid, and today I have another good video for you from Cameron Riker. That is this fellow to the left of me. Cameron is a Catholic, and his mission in life is to bring people to the Catholic Church. Notice I did not say bring people to God. He wants to bring them to the Catholic Church. Now, remember what I tell you all. If you were to look at the background of Cameron's studio, isn't that the word that these YouTube content creators call it, their studios? He has a nice, warm little light in the background. You know, he has this religious picture or painting hanging on the wall. He has statues. He has his little library collection, right? So what is he trying to do? He's pointing a finger at himself. He's saying, look at me. You see, when people, place statues in their background and, these religious themed pictures and paintings, maybe they have like a library behind them with Bibles and religious books. What are they doing? They're saying, look at me, see, I'm holy, I'm smart, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about. And that's the farthest from the truth. Jesus didn't walk around with a library. John the Baptist didn't have YouTube videos up on the wall behind him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to be very, very concerned when you watch people like Cameron Riker, because their goal is not to bring you to God. Their goal is to bring you to them. Right? Yeah. And as you can see behind me, I don't have any YouTube awards. I don't have any books. I don't have any, religious artwork or statues, because I'm not the focus here. I'm not the one that needs the spotlight. So, do you understand what I'm saying? So the title of this video is, "This Saint is so powerful, not even theologians can explain it." Well, let's give this a whirl, shall we?
There is one saint in heaven so powerful not even theologians can explain it. Except for the Blessed Virgin Mary, this saint is the greatest of all saints, and he has never been denied anything. In fact,
All right, so we already noticed there's some serious problems here. Because what Catholics do is they just talk. They will say all kinds of stuff that are just not true. Notice what he said. Let's rewind it real quick so you can hear it. Come on.
Greatest of all saints, and he has never been denied anything. In fact, it would not...
So he says things that sound factual. He says things like that. He has never been denied anything. Huh. Really? Really? How would he know? How would Cameron know if there was another human being on the planet that was never denied anything? How would he know? How would any Catholic know that? No one would know that. No one would know that. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what these Catholics do. They make all of these grand statements. Oh, we have a saint here who's never denied anything. Where did you get that information? Who told you that? You know, did God come and tell you that this person has never denied anything. You know, so the problem with this already is that it's exaggerations. This guy here, he's making false statements. He's making claims that he can't back up. And it's ridiculous. But if you're not really listening to this guy, you're going to swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Now, is God a genie? Is he just here granting this person's wishes? No. That would be the biggest stretch ever to say that there's this human being out there who's never denied anything. Yeah. It gets worse. Let's keep going. I'm sure it gets worse.
An exaggeration to say that this saint's prayers are all powerful before God. Whatever he asks, he receives. You may have guessed that the saint...
Whatever he asks for, he receives. Anything sound wrong with that? I mean, you know, like I said, let me put it to you in a different way. I'm going to treat all of you listeners out there like you have some common sense. I mean, common sense here. I mean, even if you have never opened the Bible or don't know anything it says, do you think there's a problem with what he just said?
And I'm talking about is Saint Joseph. But what's even more incredible is the reason Saint Joseph has this power. Many of the saints have noted how one single sigh from the Blessed Virgin Mary is worth more than all the prayers of the martyrs combined. This is
Notice how he says all of this stuff. One single sigh is more powerful than all the prayers of the martyrs. Really? What's the book, chapter, and verse in the Bible that comes from? Really? You know, I mean, come on, folks. You know, he might as well be trying to sell you on Santa Claus. Oh, and there is this amazing magical man out there named Santa Claus. You know, he's the best. He just magically makes toys appear in your house. Come on now.
because Christ chose to be indebted to Mary. She is the only woman ever to give.
Christ chose to be indebted to Mary? Oh my gosh, man. I mean, oh my gosh. First of all, Christ is not indebted to Mary. At all. At all. See, this guy... Okay. Let me try and explain this in a way that everyone can understand. If you don't know any better, you're going to listen to someone like that and you're going to be like, oh, that sounds nice. Ooh, there's some saint out there who, you know, God will just grant him anything he wants. Ooh, and God is indebted to Mary. And you see what I'm saying? Listen to the words, okay? God indented to indented. I don't even know where that came from. God, what word did he use? Now that I'm talking about it, I forgot. Let's go back. I want to find out the word.
To Mary. She is the only one.
Indebted. God indebted to his creature, his creation. No. God is not indebted to his creation. The creation is indebted to God. Oh my gosh. So why would this be a problem? See, here's the thing, is that people say things, but what does it really mean? If God is indebted to his creation, then that would mean God could not do something, whatever the something is, if it wasn't for the creature that he created. So, would that make God all-powerful? No, not at all. That would mean God can't do whatever it is he wants to do unless someone helps him. And if you don't help him, then God can't do it. That's what it comes down to. How in the world does this guy come up with this nonsense? And it's not just nonsense. You know, we have to call this out and say what it is. It's trash. It is sick trash. And nobody in their right mind should listen to anything this guy has to say at all. He's not telling the truth. He's saying things that sound good. It sounds like people want to hear. But is it true? No. Like I said, you know, I treat everyone like, you know, equally. Like you have some understanding. So, if God created everything, the birds in the sky, the trees, the human beings, you know, the oceans, whatever, then he has to be all-powerful. So if God is so powerful that he created everything, then he doesn't need me at all. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need Cameron. He doesn't need Joseph. He doesn't need Peter at all. Now, if God is not all-powerful, then yeah, he might need some help, right? Okay? So, this is where, like I said, it's not just garbage or trash. It's evil. It's evil. And what Cameron doesn't realize is that he's denying God. And he doesn't even realize it. Let's continue.
Ever to give flesh to the Son of God. Because Mary gave life to Jesus Christ, and because she never denied him anything.
So see what he's saying? God is indebted. Remember, Jesus is God. So if Jesus is God, then God is indebted to Mary for all that she did. Really? God could not create another girl out there in the world. I don't know. Maybe he names her Lupe. I don't know. Maybe Victoria. Who knows what she's called? Is God not capable of creating another girl to do the job? Do you see what I'm saying? This is insane. This is insane. This is utter insanity. And this is, like I said, this is filth. What this guy is saying is just filth. And so this is, we can already see, this is one of those people that Scripture talks about. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. See, he makes his background, his home, seem warm and comfy and cozy, and ooh, we have religious pictures back there. We have statues, and you see what I'm saying? But what's coming out of his mouth is filth. It's trash. So, like I said, come on, folks. If God created Mary, is it not possible for him to create a Lupe who could have done the same job as Mary? Could he have created a Victoria, a Leslie? I don't know. Is Leslie a man's name or a woman's name? I don't know. How about Lucy? How about an Amy? Could God not have created an Amy? Of course he could have. But in God's own plan, he decided it to be a Mary. It didn't have to be a Mary. He chose it to be Mary. Why? I have no idea. She could have been, called Amanda, right? Could have been. Why not? But in all God's wisdom, he chose Mary. Could he have blessed some other woman out there? Of course he could have. Of course he could have. I mean, if God is God, he could do whatever he wants, right? I mean, he didn't even have to have a Mary. He could have just snapped his fingers. He could have done anything he wanted. So when you start getting into this realm of nonsense that this guy is talking about, is Jesus is indebted to Mary, he's indebted to people, then God isn't God anymore. Do you understand that? If Jesus is indebted to Mary, then Jesus could not be God. There's just no way. No way. Let's continue. I don't know. This video is 5 minutes and 20 seconds long. I don't think I can stomach 5 minutes and 20 seconds of this filth.
In life, now he denies her nothing in heaven. God is never outdone.
See? So, because Jesus is indebted to Mary, God won't ever refuse Mary anything. Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh, folks. Alright, let's see if we can get through at least one more minute.
Generosity. But Mary isn't the only person that Jesus, in his divine providence, chose to be indebted to. King Herod tried to...
So apparently Jesus is indebted to a lot of folks out there. So think about this. But let's think about this a little further, okay? If Jesus is indebted to someone, it doesn't matter who it is, then they have the golden ticket to heaven. No matter what they've done in their life, all they have to do is say, Jesus, remember me? You're indebted to me. Yeah, you've got to do what I want. You're my slave now. Yeah. So, it doesn't matter what I've done. I could have lied on earth. I could have killed people. Whatever. But you know what? You're indebted to me. You owe me, God. You owe me. Right? So because you owe me, let me tell you all the things that I want. First of all, I want to go to heaven. It's non-negotiable. Do you see what I'm talking about? It's just nonsense. Like I said, it's worse. It's not even nonsense. It's filth. It's filth. This guy's sick.
Kill Jesus Christ whenever he was a child. And the angel did not appear to Mary and did not appear to Jesus. The angel appeared to the head of the Holy Family, say Joseph. And it's only because of Joseph's faith and his immediate obedience that Jesus and the Mother of God survive. Mary is the only...
See? This Jesus is indebted to Joseph because Joseph did X, Y, and Z. Right? All right, folks. So we get the gist of this. We don't need to watch 5 minutes of this nonsense. So basically what's happening here is this person over here, I'm not even going to say his name, that person over there, he's trying to make this out that Jesus, who's God, is indebted to human beings like Mary and Joseph. And so, hey, if you want something, well, just ask Joseph. Just ask Mary. Why? Because Jesus won't ever deny them. Now, I don't know where on the planet this guy came from. I have no idea. But he sure as heck does not know what Scripture teaches at all. At all. And we're going to dive into this right now. All right, so let's take a look at 1 Corinthians chapter 4. Now, just so everyone knows, Paul wrote the letter to the Corinthians. And the Corinthians, were a community of believers, back in the day. A long time before I was born. And so basically, I'm going to kind of boil this down. In chapter 3, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, basically what's going on is there's this discussion, I don't know that I'd call it discussion. Basically, there's disputes within the community. And you have some people who are saying, well, I follow Paul. And some are saying, no, I follow Apollos. Some are saying, I follow Peter. And some say, I follow Christ. And some say, I follow whoever. And Paul is saying, hey, no, don't think like that. And basically, the point that Paul is trying to reach is Paul is trying to help this community understand, look, we're all the same. Paul is no different than Apollos. So Peter is no different than Paul. You see what I'm saying? We're all on the same team, folks. And so in chapter 4, he says in verse 7, what gives you the right to make such a judgment? Basically, he's telling them, what makes you think that you can judge Paul to be better than Apollos, or Apollos to be better than Paul? He's like, what do you have that God hasn't given you? Okay? So what Paul's trying to get them to understand is he's saying, hey, you don't have anything unless God gave it to you. And so he says, and if everything you have is from God, then why boast as though it were not a gift? All right, so let's talk about this. So a good example is, say you, the listener here. Say you, I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. But let's pretend you are, say, a husband, a man. You're a husband. And, you're at home at night with your wife. Maybe you're laying in bed, and your kids are asleep. And your wife is like, honey, can you take the day off from work tomorrow? Can you just stay home with the kids and I and just, have a family day or something? And the husband's like, no, I'm going to work. I have to go to work to make money and pay for, your makeup, the kids' music lessons, what have you. Doesn't even matter. So if you think about what the husband is saying, he's saying, I'm taking control of my life and I'm going to do something. He's making a statement. I am choosing to do something. Now, in his mind, he really truly thinks he has control over his life and that he's going to go to work and do whatever he plans on doing. But the fact of the matter is, he doesn't have any control over his life at all. So maybe the guy is like, honey, it's time for us to go to bed. Let's turn the lights off. I need to get my rest so I can go to work tomorrow. See, he's trying to do something that he desires. But is he in control of his sleep? No. What happens if he lays down, goes to bed, and maybe his wife is like, honey, I'm sick. I don't feel good. Maybe she starts throwing up real bad. Maybe she's coughing up blood. And he's like, okay, I've got to get you to the hospital. And then he has to get all the kids, get the wife, whatever, and they have to run down to the hospital and spend all night in the hospital. Is he in control of any of that? No. What happens if he did fall asleep? Like, this is another scenario. Maybe he fell asleep in bed, had a good night's sleep. Maybe he got up, got ready, got dressed, got in the car, is headed to work. And as he's driving to work, maybe a bus hits him and he dies. So the point is, human beings don't have control over anything. No matter what you think, everything that you have, everything you do is a gift from God. That's it. So, God may give you the gift of a good night's sleep. Maybe not. God may give you the ability to go to work. Maybe not. Maybe a bus might hit you and kill you. So the same thing applies with, say, Joseph. God puts things in your way. He gives you gifts, right? So did Joseph do things on his own? Not at all. Joseph did what he did because he was given the gifts to do those things. He was given the ability to do those things. The same way with Mary. Was she given the gifts? Of course she was. Mary was given gifts that no other woman was given. So did Mary do it on her own? Did she make these choices, these decisions? Do you see what I'm saying? God allows these things. He makes them happen. Right? So the problem here is this guy, Cameron, what he's doing is very bad, because he's coming out and he's saying God is indebted to Joseph for what he did. No. Because that is saying that Joseph did all of this stuff on his own. There was no gifts from God involved at all. At all. So think about this. Cameron was saying Joseph had faith. Well, where did the faith come from? Did Joseph create his own faith? No. Joseph's faith comes from God. Well, what about love? Did Joseph just manufacture his own love? No. The love came from God, a gift. God gave Joseph the gift of love, the gift of faith. Joseph couldn't do any of that on his own. So, can God be indebted to Joseph? Of course not. That's an impossibility. Joseph is indebted to God. Why? Because God gave him the love for Mary. God gave him the faith. God gave him the abilities to do what he did. So, Joseph is indebted to God, not God indebted to Joseph. So this is what Paul is trying to teach everyone, is that everything you have is from God. If you have a good, loving wife, God gave her to you. You have kids, God gave them to you. If you have faith in him, God gave them to you. You have love, God gave it to you. Do you see what I'm saying? If you made it to work today, it's because God allowed it. He gave you that gift. Yep. So, we don't need to watch 5 minutes of this guy's filth. It's filth. And you know, I don't even have any words for this guy. It's shameful, to say the least. What he does, what he says is bad. It's extremely bad. And see what happens is this, is that when you have this mentality like this guy, and you're like, see, Joseph is so awesome. Yeah, he's amazing. Look at what he did. He saved Mary, and he saved Jesus. You're giving all the credit to Joseph, the creature. But where's God in all that? He's not there. So what you're doing is you're lowering God down here, and you're putting Joseph up here. Joseph is so amazing. He's a super dad. Man, I want to be like him. Right? So, instead of being good and holy like God, you want to be like this guy here. So, one of the things Jesus teaches, he gives us an example of having two masters. And so he says, you know, if you have two masters, you can't obey them equally. You can't love them equally. You either love one more than the other, or you love one more than the other. But you can't love them both equally. So the thing here is this, is that Paul is trying to teach this community here, this young fledgling community, not to boast in themselves, not to boast in their abilities or anything like that. Because once you start boasting in yourself, oh, look at what Joseph did. Oh my gosh, he's such an amazing dad. You know, I wish I had a dad like Joseph. You know, maybe the girls are saying, oh man, Joseph is awesome. I wish I had a husband just like Joseph. Joseph isn't anything special at all. He was given gifts from God. So Paul is saying, hey, boast in God. Don't boast in human beings. Boast in God. Be proud of God. Lord, look at what you did. You gave these gifts to Joseph. You helped Joseph. See, all the credit and glory is now with God. Not Joseph, with God. God, you are an amazing God. You are a holy God, a loving God. That's where it should be, with God. All praise, honor, and glory should be with God, not with men. And that's where Catholics, they go right off the track. They've gone and left the reservation, because they put all of this, all this, they boast about human beings. So the title of this is, "This Saint is so powerful, not even theologians can explain it." Well, so we see that Cameron is boasting about Joseph, right? Cameron is boasting about Joseph, which Paul is saying that's bad, don't do. Now, notice how he's giving the credit of power to Joseph. See, Joseph is powerful. No, Joseph is not powerful. Joseph was a man. And let's see, where is his body now? Yeah, that's right. It's dirt. Somewhere in the Middle East, there's some dirt with his name on it. Joseph's dirt. Now, I'm not saying this to poke fun or anything like that. I'm being serious. When we die, these tents, these bodies of ours, just turn to dirt. That's it. Is dirt powerful? No. Not at all. Is Joseph's dirt going to be any more powerful than my dirt? No. Not at all. So if Joseph did anything, it was because of God's power, God's abilities, not Joseph. So notice how he says things like this. Not even theologians can explain it. Ooh. Well, I can explain it. This guy, Cameron, may not like what I have to say, but I can explain it. Huh. Am I a theologian? Huh. So, let's see. Have I explained it? Why, yes, I have. Joseph isn't the one that's powerful. It's God. God is the one that is powerful. And he's giving some gifts of love and faith and who knows whatever other gifts he gave to Joseph. Did Joseph do anything on his own? No. Not at all. So, this guy, Cameron, needs to stop making videos. He's not telling the truth. He's telling lies. And what he's doing is he's causing people to go from God to what? To Joseph. Right? See, this is what it boils down to. I mean, if Joseph and Mary, if they are all powerful, if they have all of these abilities and God is indebted to them, then why would I need to go to God for help? Why would I need to go to God for anything? I wouldn't. You see, if Joseph can get whatever he wants, or Mary can get whatever she wants, then I would not need to go to God. In fact, I wouldn't. Because if I had the option, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Andrew Madrid, he is just some nothing. God's not indebted to Andrew Madrid. I mean, Andrew Madrid wasn't Mary's husband. He wasn't Mary. Andrew Madrid didn't give birth to anyone. So God is not indebted to me. So let's see. Since God isn't indebted to me, he's not going to just, answer all my wishes, right? But you know what? Since God is indebted to Mary and Joseph, well, guess what? All I have to do is sweeten up Mama Mary or Papa Joseph Hey, Papa Joseph. Hey, Papa Joe. Right? Papa Joe, I need a new car. Can you ask God to give me a new car? Mama Mary, Mama Mary, I need a new house. I want $1,000,000. I want to go on a vacation to the Bahamas. I mean, where does it stop? It's insanity. It's insanity. And I'll be honest, these pictures of when the videos stop, they're paused. It doesn't make people look. It makes them look crazy. You know what I mean? I'm sure if you pause my videos too, you'll probably see me do some crazy facial expressions. But, let's be honest. Let's be honest. I mean, if Jesus is so powerful, remember, those are the words I didn't mean Jesus, I meant Joseph. If he's saying this saint, so he's implying Joseph is so powerful. So if Joseph is so powerful, then you don't need Jesus. You don't need God. You don't need anything else. And then what happens? Joseph has now become your God. You see? See, if Andrew Madrid goes and asks God, please bring me a wife to love and to take care of and have kids with, a nice family. Well, what if God says no? But I turn to Joseph and I'm like, Joseph, you know what it's like to be a man and to want a wife and have kids and all that stuff. Please, Joseph, can you send me this beautiful, amazing wife who I can just hold and kiss and love, and we can have a wonderful family and lots of babies. So God may say no to Andrew, but Joseph, he's going to be like, Andrew, you're right. I can understand. I was a man. I wanted a wife. I wanted kids. So yeah, I'm going to give you what you want. I'm just going to tell God I want him to give you a family, and boom, you're going to get this beautiful wife. So, who's God now? My God has now become Joseph, not the real God. You see what I'm saying? Because, well, Joseph can do anything. Anything I want, he makes it happen. But God, no. So who's become God? That's what's happening. This guy, Cameron, is making Mary and Joseph God. So, what can you say? I mean, but the thing here is this. If God, let's just take Joseph as an example, or Mary. Let's say Mary and Joseph. If God just did everything that Mary and Joseph wanted, would he really be a just God? Would he be fair? Is that so? Let's put it this way. Say we have Mary and Joseph here, and apparently God just dishes out whatever they want to them. But then you have Andrew Madrid and every other human being on the planet including you, the audience member. How on earth would that be fair if God just gives Mary and Joseph anything they want, and you and I, we're second-class citizens, and we don't get anything? Is that fair? Is it fair for God to treat Mary and Joseph differently than Andrew Madrid? Than Peter the Apostle? How about Paul? You know, Paul talks about how he was homeless. He didn't have food or drink. He didn't have money. All kinds of things Paul didn't have. He was beaten. Paul suffered a lot. So would that be fair? Let's talk about fair at the moment. Would that be fair? Would that be right? Would it be loving to just treat Mary and Joseph like they're kings and queens, and everyone else on the planet as less than? Would that be loving? I think you all know the answer. If you as a parent, say you are a man, and say you're married, you have a wife, and maybe you have 4 kids, okay? What do you think would happen if, let's say you had 3 sons and 1 daughter, and you treated the daughter like a princess? Oh, my daughter, let's call her name Amy. Amy's a princess. She's an angel, right? She's daddy's little girl, right? The apple of my eye. You know how men are. They are with their daughters. What do you think the boys are going to think? Yeah. She's special. Dad loves her more than us. She's a girl, that's why. You starting to get the picture? So, how are they going to grow up? What are they learning? What is she learning? So if you gave the little girl all this attention, she's going to grow up to be a spoiled brat. Yeah. And see, that's what happens even in today's society. You have all these men out there. They have children with their wives, and they get all these girls, and that's what they do. They put their daughters on pedestals, and they say, oh, my daughter, she's amazing. She's a princess. She's the queen. You know, she's daddy's little girl. She's da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what these parents don't realize is they've just created a monster. They've created this girl who thinks that she is the queen of the world, that she is high and mighty, she's better than everyone else. It makes her entitled, makes her bossy and controlling. She wants to dominate. Not submit, dominate. So it creates a problem, because as she gets older, she's going to naturally start liking boys, and she's going to, ooh, that guy's cute. Ooh. Right? Maybe she either dates him or marries him. What happens? At some point, the fairy dust is going to, disappear, and she's going to be judging and comparing the husband or the boyfriend to her father. And she's going to, like, say she gets married, she's going to be like, I'm going to leave my husband because he's no good. I need to find someone like my dad who's going to worship me and treat me like the queen I am, right? See, this guy here, my husband, he was treating me like a human being. He expected me to cook or clean or, be a woman, right? But I need someone who's going to beg me. I need someone who's going to worship me, right? That's what happens, folks. So when you stop and you think about this, a good parent is not going to put his kid on a pedestal. He's not going to say, oh princess, oh, you're so amazing, oh my gosh, you're the best daughter in the world, because it creates a monster. So imagine if God did that to Mary, right? Imagine God did that to Joseph. If Mary and Joseph were so powerful and God were indebted to them, they would have the biggest egos on the planet. Joseph would be like, hey folks, my name's Joseph. I was Jesus's dad. I know, I'm just so amazing. I did all kinds of amazing things. I protected Mary. And I saved Jesus. God didn't have any part in it. I did. So you know what? If you want anything, folks, come to me. I'll take care of you. I'll hook you up. I will grant your wildest dreams come true. Because that's how awesome I am, right? That's exactly what would happen. That's exactly what would happen. Right? You think I'm joking? So the next time, you encounter someone, let's say a girl, and her parent treated her that way. You're my princess. You're the queen. Your daddy's little girl. You're, whatever it is, you're an angel. Some of them say, hey, you're my sugar, right? Pay attention to them. They're not grounded in reality. They have this sense of entitlement. I am up here. I'm the princess. Everyone else is below me. All the men on the planet are below me. I'm the princess. They should bow down and worship me. They should chase after me. They should. Because that's how hot and amazing I am. Right? Right. They create monsters. So if you don't want to create a monster, don't do that. So, like I said, if God did that, if God was like, Mary, you are just so amazing. You are the most amazing girl on the planet. And you are better than everyone else. Mary would get a big head, and she would be focused on herself, right? So she would have that mentality, I'm the queen. I can do whatever I want. Jesus is my son. I can do whatever I want. Right? So in order for her to, not be that way, God couldn't just, grant her every desire the same way with Joseph. If God granted Joseph anything he ever wanted, he wouldn't be loving Mary. He wouldn't be loving Jesus. He wouldn't be loving God. He wouldn't be doing any of it. He'd be out in the world trying to serve himself. So, in Scripture, we hear that Mary is blessed among women. Is that true? Sure it is. Not every woman carried Jesus. Only one did. But blessed does not mean she is better than everyone else. Blessed does not mean, she's greater. It doesn't mean she's the queen, the princess. It doesn't mean any of that. Does it? No. Did Mary receive a blessing? Sure, of course. So think about this as an example. Let's say there's a mother and father and they have, 6 kids. Actually, let's say 5 kids. Let's make it odd. So the parents have 5 kids, and maybe they're all 5 daughters, right? And early on, when the first daughter goes to get married, the mom and dad, they're still pretty young. They're both working, what have you. They're making good money. And so they're able to afford, sending their first daughter to college. But as the years go by, life happens. Maybe the wife loses a job. Maybe the husband loses a job. Maybe, things just get more expensive. And over the years, they can't afford sending all their kids to college. And maybe when the 5th daughter comes along, maybe she's 17 and, she's like, Mom, Dad, I want to go to college. And mom and dad have to sit down with her and they're like, honey, we want you to go to college. But you know what? Your father and I were broke. Your dad lost his job last year. And, some of your sisters, maybe they had problems in life and we've had to help them, or maybe we're just too old and we're both in retirement now. We just don't have the money, whatever the case is. You see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I want everyone to understand is that you have people like Cameron who talk. They say a lot of things and they want it to sound good, and it sounds appealing to people. When you stop and think about it, it's like that. Who wouldn't want to pray to Mary or Joseph? I mean, if they could give you anything you wanted, if God's not going to deny them anything, then you'd be like, yes, I'm praying to Mary. You see what I'm saying? So although it sounds good, when to human beings, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's taking you away from God. As an example, okay? As an example. What if, I'm going to try and put it in something that you could relate to. Say you were a man out there, and you're a single man, right? And you're like, Lord, please send me a wife, right? Please send me a good woman I can love and take care of and, have a family with, right? Well, what happens if you pray one day, Lord, please answer my prayers. Please send me a good woman to be my wife. Well, what if he doesn't answer your prayer that very moment, that very day? Does that mean God didn't listen to you? Does it mean God doesn't love you? Does it mean he doesn't care? No, none of it means that. Doesn't mean any of it. But what happens if every day goes by and you say, Lord, I trust you, I have faith that you're going to answer my prayers, and at some point you're going to bless me with my wife. So the thing here is this, is that you're showing faith and trust in God. Now, if you just went to Joseph and you're like, Joseph, I need me a woman. Stat. Imagine, poof, ta-da, right? Joseph just granted your wish. You now have a wife. What have you learned? What have you gained? Did you put any trust or faith in God? No. Joseph the Genie just answered your prayer. So you're not building any type of a relationship with God, right? So at the end of the day, I want everyone to understand that Cameron Riker is saying some very bad stuff. And in doing so, he's leading people astray. I recommend that you don't listen to Cameron Riker. He does not know what he's talking about. He's just spewing nonsense. And hopefully one day he realizes the error of his ways. But if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. God bless.